The lesson that is going to be taught today is the passive voice. I'm going to teach you what the passive voice is, when and why it's used, and how to use it. I'll have a challenge and a summary at the end of the video so you can screenshot or take notes of the important things. So first, what is the passive voice? In order for me to explain that, I have to show you these two sentences that look similar but have a small difference. Let's have a look. In an active sentence, we would say, Leonardo da Vinci painted the Last Supper. Leonardo da Vinci painted the Last Supper. In its passive form, we would say, the Last Supper was painted by Leonardo da Vinci. The Last Supper was painted by Leonardo da Vinci. What happened? What changed? Well, first, I underlined the subjects for you. In the first sentence, Leonardo da Vinci is the subject. That means that it is the focus of this sentence. In the second sentence, the Last Supper is the subject. Therefore, the Last Supper is the focus of this sentence. For those of you who don't know, the subject of a sentence is the person or thing performing the action. And since it's usually in the beginning of the sentence, it's also usually the focus of the sentence. So in sentence number 1, Leonardo da Vinci performs the action. He painted the Last Supper. The person or thing that performs the action is usually called the doer because they do the action. Therefore, in sentence number 1, Leonardo da Vinci is the doer. Now, let's look at sentence number 2. The Last Supper is the subject. And I just told you that the subject is the person or thing that performs the action. But the Last Supper is a painting. It's not alive. So how does it perform an action? Well, it does not perform an action, and that is why this sentence is passive. The subject, the Last Supper, doesn't perform the action, it receives the action. See, passive means to allow other people or things to be in control without giving a response or resisting. And since the Last Supper is a painting, it can't resist. It can't respond. It's passive. When the subject of a sentence is passive, that subject is usually called the receiver because it receives the action. So that's the passive voice. And I know what you're thinking. Why in the world do we use the passive voice? Well, first, let me tell you that the passive voice is extremely common in English. And here are 5 reasons why it's used. You can use the passive voice when you want to infer that the receiver of the action is more important than the doer. For example, my cell phone was fixed by the man at the mall. If you say this sentence, then to you, the cell phone is more important than the man at the mall. The second reason is when the doer of the action is unknown, unimportant, obvious, or people in general. For example, my cell phone was stolen at the party. The doer is unknown. We don't know who stole the cell phone. The streets are being repaired. The doer is unimportant. We don't care who is doing it. We just want the streets done. Michael was arrested. The doer is obvious. The police arrested him. The third reason to use the passive voice is in factual or scientific writing. For example, the tree was blown down by the hurricane. The fourth reason to use the passive voice is in formal writing. Use the passive voice instead of someone, people, or they. For example, you could write, the boy was seen at the park, instead of writing, someone saw the boy at the park. The fifth reason is when the subject or the doer of the sentence is very long. For example, I was surprised by what the woman did to the young man. Sounds more formal and natural compared to what the woman did to the young man surprised me. And those are 5 reasons and instances where the passive voice could be used. Now, how do we use the passive voice? Well, the passive voice usually uses the verb to be and sometimes get as an auxiliary verb. And the main verb is always in its past participle form. So to teach you how to structure a passive voice sentence, we're going to use this sentence as our guide. John cleans the pool every day. In the present, John cleans the pool every day. Passive, the pool is cleaned every day. In the present continuous, John is cleaning the pool every day. Passive, the pool is being cleaned every day. I'll be leaving the formulas below the sentences, and remember, at the end of the video, I will put all of the formulas together so you can screenshot them or take notes. In the simple past, John cleaned the pool yesterday. Passive, the pool was cleaned yesterday. Past continuous, John was cleaning the pool yesterday. Passive, the pool was being cleaned yesterday. Past perfect, John had cleaned the pool before. Passive, the pool had been cleaned before. Past perfect continuous, John had been cleaning the pool. Passive, the pool had been being cleaned. And don't worry, the passive voice with the past perfect is not common in English. It's very rare. The future simple, John will clean the pool tomorrow. Passive, the pool will be cleaned tomorrow. The future perfect, John will have cleaned the pool by then. Passive, the pool will have been cleaned by then. With modals, people should obey the laws. The laws should be obeyed. You can find the shoes at the store. The shoes can be found at the store. We might see the mysterious cat tomorrow. The mysterious cat might be seen tomorrow. We must do more exercise. More exercise must be done. We need to do something. Something needs to be done. And that is how you structure sentences in the passive voice. Are you ready for the summary and challenge? Feel free to screenshot anything so that you can study or use it later. So first, what is the passive voice? Why and when is the passive voice used? Now, here's my challenge for you. It's kind of difficult, but leave your answers in the comments and I'll check it out. I want you to transform this sentence to its passive form. I gave you a clue. You can use this formula right here. The sentence is, you must take a step toward your goals every day. You must take a step toward your goals every day. I'll be waiting for your answers. Good luck, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson. See you in the next lesson.